Hey everybody, welcome to my latest stories and a song video here on YouTube. Well, this is a big one today. This song here, as you can see in the background, two guys there on TV. It is Zager and Evans doing In the Year 2525. That is the song I'm doing today. That's a little Ed Sullivan clip back there. That's the first show I remember watching them on. This is my first Zager and Evans song on my YouTube playlist, my karaoke songs, and my 300th video on there in total. So it is a big one for me, a milestone I guess you could say. It's also my third video in a row by a band you could call a one-hit wonder. In fact, some have called this duo the quintessential one-hit wonder. As far as my own recollections of coming into contact with this song goes, for the first time, it goes back to hearing it played on a Detroit oldies station when I was a kid out in the backyard playing in the sandbox at my family home in Chatham, Ontario, with the sound of the song traveling over the hedge from the next door neighbor's yard when they were out there swimming in their pool during the summer. As far as the first time I saw Zager and Evans perform the song, I was in my 20s and there was a TV station called Much More Music, a spin-off of Much Music. I don't know if Much More Music is still around or not. That station used to have a program on it called Ed Sullivan's Rock and Roll Classics, where they would show performances of songs from throughout the run of the Ed Sullivan Show. Each episode had a theme, and on one of the episodes they showed In the Year 2525 by Zager and Evans. That's where I first saw it. Then several years after that, a karaoke friend of mine named T. Cloud suggested to me that the song would be a good one for me to try singing at Dooley's Bar here in Miramichi. I did sing it at least once there, but it must be 7 or 8 years ago now. Today will be the first time I've sung it since then. And now here's a little bit of information about the song. One half of the duo who made it famous, Rick Evans, wrote and composed the song in 1964. In the Year 2525 is a song about the journey of mankind over a 10,000 year span. It predicts that man's thoughts, relationships, and body will be negatively impacted by technological advances and ends with man's extinction. Now here's some information about the writer of In the Year 2525, Rick Evans. Evans has written 3 songs that have been covered by more than one artist, including In the Year 2525. All 3 of them were originally by Zager and Evans. The other 2 songs are Hydra 15,000, released in 1971, and Taxi Man, released in June 1969. In the Year 2525 is Evans' most covered song, having been covered by 41 different artists. I'll say more about the cover versions of In the Year 2525 later. This is my first Evans-written song on YouTube. I'll say more about Evans in the artist bio section later. And now here's some information about the original recording and release of In the Year 2525. Zager and Evans made the original recording of In the Year 2525 in 1968 at a studio in a cow pasture in Odessa, Texas. The studio was set up by Tommy Allsup, who produced the original recording. Allsup was on the infamous 1959 Winter Dance Party tour as a part of Buddy Holly's Crickets, during which Holly, Richie Valens, and the Big Bopper were killed in a plane crash. The personnel on the recording included Denny Zager on acoustic guitar and harmony vocals, Rick Evans on acoustic guitar and lead vocals, Mark Dalton on bass guitar, Dave Trupp on drums, and the Odessa Symphony on additional instruments. The song was originally released in April 1969 in mono on Allsup's regional Truth label. The original pressing, with the Evans-composed Little Kids on the B-side, consisted of 1,000 copies distributed in Nebraska and Oklahoma and West Texas. Those quickly sold, so an additional run of 10,000 was made. Those didn't last long either, and with 11,000 copies sold, the song was a regional hit on radio stations in the Lincoln and Omaha area. In May of 1969, RCA Records picked it up for a national release. On both the original mono Truth release and on RCA Victor, the song was subtitled Exordium and Terminus, meaning beginning and end. RCA producer Ethel Gabriel was tasked with enhancing the sound and arrangement. She made the horn section on the Truth release more muted, and gave the RCA release its chilling melody. The song is in the psychedelic rock and folk rock genres. On the record, the producer credit is given as Zager and Evans. The length of the song, its runtime, is 5 seconds longer on the RCA release than the one on the Truth label, 3:15 to 3:10. In the year 2525 was the duo's first ever single release. The single entered the Billboard Hot 100 Top 40 on June 28, 1969, and charted for 12 weeks, spending 6 of those weeks at number 1, from July 12th to August 23rd. It replaced the love theme from Romeo and Juliet by Henry Mancini, a great movie with the lovely Olivia Hussey as Juliet, one of my favorites, at number 1, and was replaced by the Rolling Stones' Honky Tonk Women, which I have a video of on my YouTube playlist way back at video number 5. The song ended up being Zager and Evans' only top 40 pop hit. It stayed so long at number 1 that I think it's safe to call them the ultimate one-hit wonder. Not only that, but it hit the top spot in many other charts as well. In Canada, on both pop and adult contemporary, in Ireland, New Zealand, the UK, 3 weeks in August and September, the US on Billboard Adult Contemporary and Cashbox, and West Germany. It also reached number 2 in Australia and number 47 in Italy. On the year-end charts for 1969, it ranked number 11 on US Cashbox, number 12 in the UK, number 15 in Canada and West Germany, number 26 on US Billboard Hot 100, number 32 in Australia, and number 37 on US Billboard Easy Listening. On the all-time US Billboard Hot 100 chart covering 60 years from 1958 to 2018, it ranked number 298. I'm not sure how they got 298 songs in a Hot 100, but anyway, there you go. The single was certified gold in the US by the RIAA for sales of 1 million units in July of 1969. The song appeared as the title track, track 1 on side 1 of Zager and Evans' debut studio album, 2525 Exordium and Terminus, released in July 1969 on RCA Victor. It reached number 30 on Billboard Top LPs chart. It did much better in Canada, topping out at number 7. In the May 31st, 1969 issue of Record World magazine, a review of the single on page 10 states, quote, "This is a big, compelling song of the future, which looks bright for Zager and Evans," unquote. In the June 14th, 1969 issue of Billboard magazine, a review of the single on page 68 states, quote, "Fascinating lyric line and infectious melody will bring this strong duo to the charts with sales impact. Could prove a left-field giant," unquote. And now, here is some information about the cover versions of In the Year 2525. 45 cover versions of In the Year 2525 have been released to date. 19 of those are in English, 13 are instrumentals, 1 is in Czech, 1 is in Finnish, 2 are in French, 1 is in German, 1 is in Greek, 4 are in Italian, 2 are in Spanish, and 1 is in Swedish. Of the 19 English ones, I am only familiar with 3 of the artists who have covered it. I'll mention those in chronological order, and then 7 more who I am not familiar with, again in chronological order. So, the first one that I am familiar with is by UK Anonymous Cover Versions Project, cleverly and successfully using the name of the famous chart show that the BBC had neglected to trademark as a brand, Top of the Pops, in September 1969, on their Hallmark Records album, Top of the Pops Volume 7. This album has a picture of a young woman looking over her shoulder on the front cover. It's actually the chart show that I am familiar with, not the covers project, but I put it in anyway here. So technically there are only 2 English cover artists who I am familiar with. The first of these is by American country music performer and songwriter from Texas, Nat Stuckey, in November 1969 on his RCA Victor album, New Country Roads. The album cover pictures a few couples riding on motorcycles on a patchy paved country road. Interestingly, none of the riders are wearing helmets. 3 of the songs on the album, including In the Year 2525, were also on the Top of the Pops album. The Stuckey album also includes These Eyes, made famous by Canadian band The Guess Who. The last English cover artist who I am familiar with is French-Canadian author, singer, composer, and actress Jeanette Reno, in 1969 on her Parrot album, Jeanette Reno. This album also has the song Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood on it, which I made a video of only 3 videos ago. The front cover shows her smiling, wearing red, and a headshot. And now, 7 cover artists who I'm not familiar with are: first, by Australian musician, conductor, producer, and record label entrepreneur BWD Production, Bill Wellings, in September 1969 on his Music for Pleasure album, Big Hits. This is rated the 11th best version on secondhandsongs.com. This album has 3 other songs on it that are on other albums I've mentioned here. Interestingly, Zager and Evans' original hit version is only rated the 2nd best version. Second, by UK anonymous session singers who recorded sound-alike covers that were released by Pi and its subsidiaries, Chartbusters, Dine, Pi Records studio artists, in October 1969 on their Marble Arch Records album, Chartbusters Movin'. This album, curiously, also has a motorcycle on the front cover, again with a helmetless rider. Weirdly, a man sitting on the ground in front of the motorcycle is wearing a helmet. This album has 4 songs on it that are also on albums I've already mentioned. The same version of In the Year 2525 also appeared on November 7th, 1969 on their Marble Arch Records album, Top Chartbusters of 69. This album's cover shows a blurry picture of someone riding a bicycle. This album has 1 other song on it that is also on albums I've already mentioned. Third, by German group Happy Niebauer Sextet in 1969 on their Tempo EP, In the Year 2525, Je t'aime, moi non plus, Venus, Don't Forget to Remember. This one has 1 other song on it that is also on an album I've already mentioned. This album has a drawing of a guitar with the song titles printed on it on the front cover. Fourth, by Filipino singer Terso Cruz III in 1969 on his Vicor album, Terso Cruz III. He was only 17 years old when this album was released. The front cover shows various photos of him on a pink background. This album has 1 other song that appeared on the albums I've already mentioned. Fifth, by a UK band originating from Nottingham, who recorded 5 singles and 1 LP between 1968 and 1971, Which What? In 1969 on their Beacon single, In the Year 2525. The picture sleeve shows the 5 band members posing, 2 standing and 3 sitting. Sixth, by Japanese female singer Miko Hirota in April 1970 on her Nippon Columbia album, Miko 70. The album cover shows her in a black top, looking pensively through a window that is otherwise covered with blue and white streaks of paint. This album has 3 other songs that appeared on albums I've already mentioned. And seventh, by Hong Kong group Society of Seven, formerly known as the Fabulous Echoes until 1968, in 1970 on their Makaha album, SOS Fever, live at the Outrigger Hotel, recorded at the Waikiki Outrigger Hotel in Honolulu, Hawaii. The album cover shows various shots of the band on stage and the audience with pink, yellow, and blue tints. You can probably tell that I have a big thing for album covers. I just wish I could show you all these, but I can't. I don't have any albums with In the Year 2525 on them, so all I can do is describe them to you. But I kind of like them. They're interesting. There are 35 more cover versions of In the Year 2525, but I won't mention any more today. Now here's some information about Zager and Evans. Zager and Evans was an American pop-folk rock-pop duo from Lincoln, Nebraska. Active recording-wise during the late 1960s and early 1970s, comprising Dennis Zager, commonly known as Denny, born on February 14, 1944, in Wymore, Nebraska, in the southeast part of the state, 56 miles south of Lincoln. Zager is now 81 years old, and Rick Evans, born Richard S. Evans, on January 20th, 1943, in Lincoln, Nebraska, and died in February 2018, aged 75, in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Both of them sang and played guitar in the duo. Zager and Evans met at Nebraska Wesleyan University in 1962 and began performing together then. They were joined by drummer Danny Schindler, later of the Benders, in the Nebraska band The Eccentrics, until Schindler's tour of Vietnam in 1965. Makes it sound like he went there on a vacation, but I'm sure he was fighting in the Vietnam War. Evans also left in 1965 and reunited with Zager in 1968. As Zager and Evans, the duo were backed by another Nebraska native, Mark Dalton, on bass. Their first drummer, Paul Maher, was later replaced by another Nebraskan, Dave Trupp. Trupp and Dalton were also the rhythm section in the Liberation Blues Band and backed Evans on some solo demo material prior to Zager and Evans' recording of In the Year 2525. The last stanzas of the song suggest mankind undergoes a continuing cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. The song topped the charts at the time of two major cultural events: the first moon landing on July 20th, 1969, and the Woodstock Music Festival a month later. The record sold over 4 million copies by 1970. Sales of the original hit recording, including single sales, album usage, and compilation inclusions, are estimated at over 10 million worldwide. In Italy, the duo released an Italian version on RCA Victor, Now Anno 2033, backed with Donna, which means woman. I wonder if they'll play that on the radio sometime in 2033, coming up in 8 years from now. They should. Zager and Evans are considered to be an archetypal one-hit wonder. Despite the success of 2525, the follow-up single, Mr. Turnkey, failed to chart in the US and UK, as did subsequent releases. For many years, the duo was the only act to have a chart-topping hit on both sides of the Atlantic and never have another chart single in Billboard or the UK, until the Canadian band Magic in 2013. Their third single, Listen to the People, appeared on the Cashbox chart at number 100, while Mr. Turnkey and Carrie Lynn Javes, a double A-side, and Help One Man Today, both charted in Australia at number 86 and number 94, respectively. After the success of 2525, White Whale Records released an LP titled The Early Writings of Zager and Evans and Others, featuring recordings of the Eccentrics on side 1 and a band called J.K. and Company, who had no connection to Zager and Evans, on side 2. After releasing 2 albums on RCA, Zager and Evans moved to Vanguard Records in 1971 for a final record titled Food for the Mind. Evans later released an album for Truth Records titled I Need This Song, a duet with Pam Herbert. In the late 1970s, he formed his own label, Fun Records, and released an album titled Fun Songs, Think Songs, containing both new material and re-recordings of Zager and Evans material. Zager now builds custom guitars at Zager Guitars in Lincoln, Nebraska. Evans largely retired from public life, but he continued to chat online with Dalton and his best friend, Nashville producer Gary Earle, until his death. Drummer Dave Trupp died in November 2015 at the age of 72. Mark Dalton still performs on bass in the U.S. Pacific Northwest. Now here's some information about Zager and Evans' recording history and discography. 78 records were released on Zager and Evans and other similar names between 1969 and 1998. They were released on RCA Victor in Argentina, Australia, Belgium, Canada, France, Germany, Greece, India, Ireland, Israel, Italy, Mexico, New Zealand, Philippines, Portugal, South Africa, Spain, Switzerland, Turkey, and the UK and the USA, RCA in Australia, El Salvador, Japan, and the Netherlands, Astor in Australia, Vanguard in Canada, Germany, New Zealand, Sweden, and the USA, RCA Victor Golden Greats in Canada, RCA Special Products in Canada, Old Gold in the UK, Truth in the USA, RCA Victor Gold Standard in the USA, Collectibles in the USA, Royal in Iran, TK Records in Thailand, GR in Thailand, and Handy Mate in an unknown country. Their discography includes 4 albums and 6 singles. Now I'm going to sing In the Year 2525. It is song number 12 on this list here, which I've been working on for a little while. This is it here. It's a lot bigger than 12 songs, so don't worry, I'm not going to run out of songs anytime soon. But here we go, In the Year 2525. Should be good. Wish me luck. It's been a while since I did this song, but I'm gonna give it a try here. Okay, right on. So In the Year 2525, as made famous by Zager and Evans, written by Rick Evans. It says Boris Bergman on here, and I have no idea who that is as a co-writer, but here we go. In the year 2525, if man is still alive, if woman can survive, they may find Ain't gonna need to tell the truth, tell no lies. Everything you think, do, and say is in the pill you took today. In the year 45, ain't gonna need your teeth, won't need your eyes. You won't find a thing to chew. Nobody's gonna look at you. In the year 55, your arms are hanging limp at your sides. Your legs got nothing to do. Some machine doing that for you. In the year 65, ain't gonna need no husband, won't need no wife. You'll pick your son, pick your daughter too, from the bottom of a long glass tube. Whoa, whoa. In the year 75, if God's a-comin', he ought to make it by then. Maybe he'll look around himself and say, guess it's time for the judgment day. In the year 85, God is gonna shake his mighty head. He'll either say, I'm pleased where man has been, or tear it down and start again. Whoa, whoa. In the year 95, I'm kind of wondering if man is gonna be alive. He's taken everything this old earth can give, and he ain't put back nothing. Whoa, whoa. Now it's been 10,000 years. Man has cried a billion tears for what he never knew. Now man's reign is through, but through eternal night, the twinkling of starlight, so very far away, maybe it's only yesterday. In the year 25, if man is still alive, if woman can survive, they may find. In the year 35, ain't gonna need to tell the truth, tell no lies. Everything you think, do, and say is in the pill you took today. Whoa, whoa. Woo, alright. In the year 25. Zager and Evans from 1969. Woo! Man, that was a lot of fun to sing. Hope you all enjoyed that song. Alright, well, thank you all for watching and listening today. I'll be starting to work on my next video. Guess when? Tomorrow, yes sir. And for this song, it is going to be a country song. How about that? Just proves that this list that I made is a spur of the moment thing, and whatever song came to my head at the time, that's what I put down. But the next song I'm going to do is called Catfish John. I wonder why I picked that song. The name like John in it. By a singer named Johnny Russell. I wonder why I picked him. I like Johnny songs, what can I say? So we'll try that one next video. Alright, thanks for watching and listening everyone. And remember, be here next time because I ain't even started yet. Have a good day now.